Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Service Atlanta office's weekly weather briefing. I'm meteorologist Sid King, and I'll be giving you a rundown on what we can expect in the coming week, starting with an active day today. So let's dive into it. So to begin, we have a heat advisory in effect for portions of central and east Georgia this afternoon from 12 to 8. Heat indices in this area will range from 105 to 100 degrees today and could see that again tomorrow afternoon. Today we're expecting potentially 2 rounds of thunderstorms to move through north and east Georgia, and we're going to be looking for a slight risk, level 2 out of 5, for severe weather with that second round in the afternoon. Damaging wind gusts and hail will be possible, and we can't rule out a brief isolated tornado. More numerous showers and thunderstorms are expected on Friday and Saturday ahead of an approaching cold front. We will have a marginal risk for severe weather on both of those days in the region ahead of the front, with damaging wind gusts being the primary threat. And with a very warm and moist atmosphere, we could see locally heavy rainfall producing isolated flash flooding through Saturday. Here is a look of our satellite imagery. You can see we have a cluster of storms moving into far north Georgia. You can even see some convection ongoing in the backside of those storms as well. So it is active across that area and moving towards our far northern tier. A look at the radar at that time also shows the heavier reflectivity returns just north of our area, with this cluster of thunderstorms entering extreme northeast Georgia. This is our first round of thunderstorms that we're anticipating today. For the most part, we're not seeing any severe weather with this round, and it looks like it's going to just skirt by the far northeastern corner of our area, and we'll be mostly spared from severe weather impacts from this round of storms. Taking a look at the temperatures today, that round of storms is not really going to do anything to inhibit the warming across our area today. So high temperatures are going to range from the upper 90s to near 100 south of I-20. There's not going to be much relief tonight either. With high dew points in the area, the lows are really going to drop it only into about the mid 70s at best in that area. We do have a heat advisory in effect for today. Those maximum heat index values I talked about earlier are expected to range from 105 to 110 in areas of central and east Georgia. And then generally across the entire area, we're going to be exceeding 100, except for the mountains of far northeast Georgia. And the heat advisory is in effect as a result. You can see it here on this slide. The heat advisory is going to be in effect from 12 to 8 p.m. today. So, of course, if you're going to be working outside, drink plenty of fluids. Take frequent breaks in air conditioning if possible. And, of course, never leave young children or pets in unattended vehicles under any circumstances. So here's a look at our rain chances today. I mentioned earlier we have a series of disturbances aloft. That's going to allow for the organization of thunderstorms through the remainder of the day. That first round of storms I mentioned earlier is currently moving through extreme northeast Georgia. Our focus this afternoon is going to be on a potential second round of storms. That's anticipated this afternoon into the early evening hours between about 4 and 8 p.m. However, a lot of uncertainty remains with this second wave, because how this evolves is going to depend on how the atmosphere responds to earlier activity today. And we're thinking there's going to be good destabilization with very hot temperatures, very humid temperatures, and then not much influence from that first wave skirting by to the northeast. So strong instability and shear ahead of that potential second disturbance could contribute to severe weather risk. So here is how that is. One model is shaping that up this afternoon, and that you can see that first wave passing by the far northeast by the early afternoon, and then the second wave dropping across far north Georgia and towards South Carolina in the mid to late afternoon hours. And it looks like it could be an organized cluster of storms kind of bowing out ahead of the segment at that time. Of course, this is just one model solution out of many, so don't focus on the exact timing of this. There's still some uncertainty and room for error, even this far out. Here's our severe weather risk for today, and that follows fairly closely with the path we saw on the previous slide. Severe thunderstorms possible, most likely in that area in the slight risk in yellow. The primary hazards with storms that occur today will be damaging wind gusts and hail. A short-lived tornado cannot be ruled out in this area, and then of course, as any storm this summer, they could produce heavy rain and frequent lightning. On Friday, we're going to start seeing a more robust wave move a cold front towards North Georgia. And as that moves southeastwards towards the area, we're going to be looking at more numerous showers and storms ahead of that front. So here's how Friday's looking. The front is still going to be north of the area a lot of the day, and as a result, temperatures are going to be very hot once again. However, rain chances are going to begin to increase across northwest Georgia in the afternoon and evening as that front draws closer, with more scattered out activity out ahead of it. Now, with very little change in the air mass, we're expecting high heat index values once again tomorrow. Heat index values expected to exceed 100 across the majority of our area, and once again range from 105 to 110 degrees in the afternoon hours. There is a marginal risk for severe thunderstorms on all but the far northern tier on Friday, and this is where we're going to be expecting our better instability in the afternoon with daytime heating, and combined with strong shear ahead of that approaching cold front. Once again, the main hazard is going to be damaging wind gust. We'll also see some potential hail, and then once again heavy rain and frequent lightning. The cooler air, you can see, will start to build into far north Georgia in the early morning hours on Saturday. So we'll have some upper 60s, even mid 60s in the higher elevations of the far northeast. And then rain chances will generally be scattered across the area overnight. On Saturday, the front is going to be moving further through the area. High rain chances will be ahead of the front, especially in the afternoon with the daytime heating. And then by the afternoon, that front is expected to stall in central Georgia, and there it will stay through the remainder of the weekend and into early next week. The severe weather risk on Saturday is going to be generally confined to central Georgia, once again where the better instability and shear will be ahead of the front. More stability to the north in the cooler air mass will inhibit the severe potential. On Saturday, you can see our lower temperatures and lower rain chances to the north in this graphic, with probably a much welcome return to the 80s in the northern half of the state. Then Saturday night, we'll be dropping down into the 60s across a lot of the area, with rain chances even coming to an end along and north of roughly I-85 corridor. Rainfall totals are forecast to be highest through Saturday in the north and west part of the forecast area. So as the high, we could be getting as high as 1.5 to 2.5 inches through Saturday. However, don't focus in too much on this, because as always, our strongest storms could really put down some heavy rainfall totals, which could lead to a few instances of isolated flash flooding, particularly in urban and low-lying areas where the heaviest rain occurs. On Sunday, our chances of storms will be highest near the stationary front in central Georgia once again, and then focus to the south of it. Drier air and high pressure will limit rain chances to the north, but with limited cloud cover, our temperatures are going to begin to moderate and get back up into the upper 80s and low 90s by the afternoon. Early next week, that weak, now stationary front will remain in central Georgia and continue to provide an afternoon focus for more diurnally driven afternoon storms. High pressure to the north will inhibit rain chances in the northern half of the area Monday and Tuesday. Shifting gears a little bit to the tropics, we still have Tropical Storm Dawn meandering out there in the central Atlantic, and we have another disturbance in the South Atlantic, which has a 20% chance of cyclone formation in the next 7 days. A 0% chance in the next 2 days, so nothing imminent, but we're going to continue to monitor as the week goes on. It's still far out, and there's still plenty of ways that it can evolve from here. And just to sum up an outlook for the week ahead, you can see our hottest temperatures are the next couple of days, and then we'll begin to cool off behind that cold front. And then we're going to look dry across the northern part of the area Monday into Tuesday. But once that pattern begins to shift, we're going to start seeing a return of daytime thunderstorms by Wednesday next week. So once again, we have a heat advisory in effect today for heat indices between 105 and 110 degrees. We're expecting a couple of rounds of thunderstorms today, especially if with a potential second round, we could see a slight risk of severe weather with storms capable of producing damaging wind gusts and hail. We can't rule out a brief tornado as well. More numerous showers and thunderstorms will be possible on Friday and Saturday ahead of an approaching cold front, with a marginal risk for severe weather in the region ahead of the front. Through Saturday, we could see locally heavy rainfall, which could produce isolated flash flooding in urban and low-lying areas through Saturday night. And that concludes our weekly weather briefing. Here's our contact information if you ever need to get in touch with us. And on behalf of all of us here at the National Weather Service in Atlanta, we'd like to thank you all for your attention, and we hope you have a great week.